Well, then, like stand up there. Can I see if I can hear the sound? Yeah. What do you want to hear? Voice of first. It's live streaming now. Yeah. I had to turn it on to test it out. So.
Is this right here? Oh, yeah,
it's on my computer.
Off of YouTube. What does YouTube need?
A little presentation plan, all very time.
He's
I'm not sure what Julie is.
I got it.
It's following me. I don't like that.
Just not they hear everything you say.
No.
All right, ready?
No, well, you guys are actually streaming right now. Yeah.
Or should it sit here?
Yes. Well, I don't know actually if they're gonna want us to sit like over here into the hall.
Yeah, you guys will be, as you can see, this is like a minute in.
Oh, okay.
And then as soon as it's over. But yeah, I think everyone should probably try to stand like right in over there.
Do you ever think that they could get meetings here? Like, is that okay?
Not
Yeah, there's something in here at the top. I'm gonna go here. I don't have a lot.
Okay. We can stand in front of it and talk. So we're gonna be like, so we're pretty soon when things begin. So they just want us to stand here and then whenever we're done, we're out of things to go.
Hi, all. Thank you for being patient. The presentation will begin shortly.
All right, honey, you gotta put that away.
Just no, do the look. Presentation. Like just keep that phrase that you just did. Thank y'all for being patient. We'll start the presentation shortly. On the Tybee Island Maritime Academy Parlay. See you then. Wait, who's watching?
She's the other. It's being live streamed probably.
Well, I mean, I know that they live stream like a concert on Twitter or Facebook. I don't think anyone would be watching it though, except maybe parents. We're just parents and concerned, you know.
Is there a link where parents can see and will it be recorded? Because Johnny was kind of wanting to record it. Okay.
But
did put some actual link on our Facebook link.
No,
So we can on Facebook, but it's okay if you want to roll it. Yeah.
Because it'll be like a U. So if you put it back there, it might.
It's true.
I'll use all of that in one day.
I can record it whenever, when you can use your iPad, and I'll use your iPad to record it. After I say, hi, this is TIMA Parlay, and you guys walk out, I can just step back and start recording. If you'd like. They go that long.
The agenda here says 7:30. You know what I got?
Oh, no, I think we'll still be on this.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, as soon as we're done with recording.
Yeah, but that's very. I don't cook. Yes, I do the cooking. Yes, I. Super fun. I'll go grab some gas station.
Yeah, except for,
I'm ready. All right, I'm ready. Let's start the games. The high reward. What's your copy?
I hope my battery lasts. There's no other plug. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm doing is
I'm done playing. I played playing. What's all you do on? I put stuff in my. So then I go shop.
so what I do right now is I go here
I'm guessing that.
and everything. So those are really upgrades I have. But I want to get whoever don't have popcorn and then
Yeah, right. It's because it's meant to be rushed. That's why rush base in order to get. Yeah, so I mean, I count our rush is not.
Yeah. So you guys, it's not like, I mean, it was just probably around 1 year, but.
Every single time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For 8 hours a day, right now. And then for 1 hour a day. Would you rather leave us or?
Just to be sure, you know, like, we're just, like, sure. I haven't had many gyms or cafeterias.
No, it's a would you rather. It doesn't matter. Would you rather?
Very good profession here.
So cool, how long were you there?
I'm very young. Sorry for the question.
Wow.
At the same time.
So does that mean that you have parents in the military?
Yeah. Would you rather?
So he's still in Korea,
Or would you? I would love to make sure it's there.
what branch?
Would you rather
Nice.
play tennis or play roller hockey?
Really?
Would you
So
rather?
you're hunting because you want to eat enough, not because you just like
Would
hunting.
you rather?
Why? Okay.
Orange juice or tea? I love hot chocolate.
Really?
But like a couple minutes later, orange juice, it's so good. So, would y'all rather have microwave everything for a year or have vegan burgers? Yeah, vegan, no meat, no eggs. I feel like I get a lot of microwave stuff. Yeah, you can make microwave waves. Alright, not bad. Would you rather be stuck in a class to dumb people or be stuck in a class with everyone smarter than you? I'm dumb. I was like, I'm the argument. But like everyone can just argue. I feel like everyone can be like, always. Because I'm really the consumer of that. Okay. Would you rather live with rats or live with cockroaches?
That's.
Right. Where you go? Oh my god. Yeah, but rats, you never can step on their spines.
Like they're wanting team insurance, but I'm thinking maybe, I don't know if they're willing
Would
to
you
call
rather
it, I need to get to
live
that.
in haunted house or live in a haunted house? Or would you rather live in a This is my help. Would you rather live in a really haunted house of a really poverty, like poverty house. Because have you seen, no, but have you seen the one Conjuring? It's good. Would you rather actually live in horror movies than the real? Would you rather? Would you rather? Would you rather? Would you rather never have pets or live on a farm? That's a hard one. It's a really hard one.
That'll be a very educational experience for these parents.
Alright, would you rather live in a school, like an actual school, or live in a mansion? Really? Schools? Huge schools that are like run down? They got like huge spaces.
We're going to go down to your grade school later. Everybody. That's fun.
Would you rather fight off 100 babies, 25 second graders?
What about second grade? I was like,
No, third grade. Third grade. That's what I'm about.
third grade. I can do that. I feel so bad.
Yeah, babies. Because you can just like.
I didn't experiment. I was like,
Would you rather be stuck wearing, like the little shoes that go out like here and high heels that go out here? Or be stuck wearing just like sandals and furry socks?
Strong words.
Would you rather? And also you have a very body issues. Yeah. Would you rather be a pro professional fighter or a professional loser? Think about this. Would you rather? Would you rather have cancer or would you rather have
I'd say the best time when you're a senior in high school.
or live in the world of gravity falls, but you don't know the outcomes. You don't know the outcomes.
So you're saying whenever you're a senior, maybe.
You don't know the outcomes. You don't know the outcomes. I'd say gravity falls. Would you rather always have everything wet or always have everything wet? Like, you know, it's a little bit today, always have everything wet or everyone. Well, you can drink it and everything like that, but right, you put it out like well, yeah, you must try. Get dry. But your hands would be really dry. Would you rather have these paper towels or tablecloths? For anything. Really? Tablecloths all the way? Not table. That's a little handkerchief thing. I don't know. Oh, yeah, all this stuff. Would you rather be really, really clean? Like if you're forced to be clean. Or would you rather really, really dirty? Would you rather be really, really, really clean like all the time, or like keep that constantly? Or would you rather be homeless? Or would you rather be homeless? Really? That was a bad one. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. I was scared to give it.
Hey, I'm not good at these.
I'm going
We have 5 people watching now.
So guys, I'm just trying to say nicely.
There's no interaction. They can't chat. They can't chat. They're just watching.
Would you rather be involved in the Chinese culture than the Muslim culture? Here's how the little schools. Would you rather only get soda those years? Or only water? Would you rather be vegetarian for the rest of your life or only eat vegetarian? We use sodas. And you can like break it so it's like flat. No, you never look great for that would be Sandsburg. Where's the Sandsburg? On the island. It's so random. I put it on the bottom of my foot.
Actually, on the no.
Yeah. Well, I just cut off my skin. I just cut off my skin.
No, like right here.
Oh, no. No, it wouldn't. I'm gonna go to that. Wait, ooh. I'm gonna go to that. It's a little bit gross. Someone do it for them.
I'm getting a lot of that.
Here into homeschool psyche.
Right.
Tell me you're rich without telling me you're rich. Oh, you mean like this?
Six, seven, 8. On roller skates,
So just like listening to something here. And then like, cause that's how the focus is. Yeah. I feel like the whole time for that to focus. And like I was saying, thanks for reading.
Hi, we're live streaming. The camera will not.
Okay, I'll start recording whenever I'm done.
You can sit wherever you want. I'm just gonna sit here.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I click it down and smooth
Do I need to make the motion or? So the motion's been made.
Yeah, just around the U.
Hi.
I wasn't sure what all the kids were doing. They're gonna do that. Cool.
Whenever you want.
It's chilly in here. No. I have a new gym.
Good evening, thank you all for being here. It is 6:16, we're a little late tonight. due to some traffic jam. Thank you all for being here. I would like to start off our board meeting tonight with our mission moments brought to us by the speaker and our students from Patty Evans. The floor is yours.
So these are students from TIMA Parlay. You guys can come on up the first group. And they have a presentation they've put together for you guys.
Hi, my name is Bella. I'm an 8th grader here at TIMA. I'm Etta. I'm also an 8th grader.
I'm Abby. I'm an 8th grader.
I'm Parker. I'm a 6th grader. We're here to talk to you about Parlay. TIMA Parlay is a student government organization offered during the tech time period. We had 24 students partake in this last semester. They were given an opportunity to address student concerns, make goals, and serve our community. Students wrote proposals, presented ideas to the group, and voted on what they want. TIMA Parlay lobbied to have free feminine hygiene products available in the girls' restroom. After our first success, students voted to install water bottle filling stations in the main building and middle school building.
We also hosted a dress down day, but still needed more funds. So we decided to put a snack shack during clubs to raise funds to purchase the filling stations. It took several months, but with hard work, the goal was achieved. TIMA Parlay voted to help pick up trash on our campus and the Memorial Park. We actually did that today. We walked over. And we can regularly be found keeping TIMA clean. Next presenters.
Still up here.
Hi, I'm Jacob. I'm an 8th grader at TIMA Middle School.
Hi, I'm Lincoln. I'm a 7th grader here at TIMA.
Hello, I'm Asia. I'm an 8th grader here.
Parlay loves our people. In addition to school improvement and community service, we work to foster connections and mentorship with all of our little or younger students.
For example, kindergartner book buddies. Every kindergartner is assigned a Parley member as a book buddy. Parley members check out books to read to their buddies, and every other Friday, we read, chat, and spend quality time with our kindergarten book buddies.
Each week we work with second grade students and their centers. Sometimes we help with writing, sometimes with organizing information. That's actually me. I'm from the last group, so feel free to ask me questions if need be.
On January 3rd, 24 new TIMA students joined the Parlay. We're committed to growing and improving. Our group is in the process of developing new goals. You want to hear more? A little more?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
All right, so right now we're in the making of updating the front building out there because it's a little bit outdated. And also we're thinking of making a middle school dance just for 6, 7, 8. And I can't really dive deep into it because of, our time crunch. That's about it though.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, questions, anyone?
So has it been hard to figure out what you want to put on the table for everybody to vote for? Has it been hard or easy?
We usually pick, so Miss Cameron will have us write down our main topics on a piece of paper, and then she'll kind of organize it for us as the main ones that we wanted to do. And so then we'll take a vote, our whole class, and whichever one gets the most vote will usually lean towards that. But if there are other people that want to do something else, we can retake our vote or maybe use a side project. So. Any other questions?
Why do you think you doubled in size? Why do you think you have so many more kids? Is it because they see what you're doing is working, or is it?
Well, we didn't really double in size, so we got a new semester of students. So last semester there was a group, and this semester there's a new group. So like I'm in the new group this semester, and Johnny was in the last group.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Do you have a leadership team?
We have people in we have something called power groups, and we have a person that has a chair in the power group that kind of like says the ideas to other people.
Like our chairman who presents our ideas for our power.
How do you choose your chairperson?
And really just someone goes, we have our superpower power groups for a little bit, and then we just, in our group, just take like a vote, say like, they should be on, but they should be on.
I'll add something to that. Depending on who makes the idea for like our long-term topic, that group will be like our head point for it.
So that's where our inspiration comes from. But another thing added on to that, we also do all collab, I'll just say collab in our groups. So we'll take ideas from like my group. We had the idea for the front building of like putting stones there or something, and then Edda's idea got picked. So we collabed on it together, and we're going to figure out how we can include the stones and the idea of flowers and new plant life.
Yeah.
So.
What was Edda's idea?
Yeah, well, it's Edda's group.
I wasn't part of Edda's group. We decided on making a flower bed on the side, and then he saw those little flower pots up there, putting some new plants there. What was it called? What were the flowers called? What was it? Pansies, putting pansies up there because school color is blue. And then just like doing a couple more stuff like putting mulch in there. And like Bella said, we would collab with them and put some like stones in there that the kindergartners painted.
Yeah, so collabing with our younger grades.
I have a little bit of homework for you all. So as you work through your plan, the next time you come back, what are you going to ask of this board that they can do to help you? Don't do it tonight. Think about it. Make your plan and see what we could or should do for you, in your opinion.
All right, thank you so much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. With that, we're moving to Mr. Ulrich for the school year report.
Evening, everyone. Thank you. So this is when we were working over the summer, we started looking at what are the things that we want to bring to the board. And this happens to be the month where we talk about an academic update. So I'm going to get to that, but there's a few things I want to share first. We had a winner here for our spelling bee, and this week is the district spelling bee. So we're going to have representation there. Our Future Cities, our 7th graders just came back from the Future Cities competition in Atlanta, and we had 2 big winners at the conference. So we had the best all-girls team that was awarded from a local engineering group in Atlanta, and then we had the most innovative clean energy solution. So those students came back really excited they were able to share that. The Savannah Chatham Student Success Expo, which has STEAM competitions embedded, was this last Saturday. So a lot of the staff members and I were there to cheer on our students. Our band performed, and also to just greet the community and share more about what we do here. But at that particular event, there were some STEAM competitions first thing that morning, and we competed in 2 of those. So we had students that competed in what's called Sugobots, which is actually Lego robotics, where they construct, it basically looks like a little sumo wrestler, and they have to bounce the other robot from the other team out of the ring. We won 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. So students were very excited about that. They did all of the construction and all of the programming of their robots during their tech time as part of their computer science class. Then they got to go and compete on Saturday. So they're really excited and did really well. And then we had students that competed in the Straw Tower engineering competition, where they had to construct something made of straws, and it had to hold a specific weight. We got 2nd place overall out of all the middle schools that competed, so we thought they did really well. And then we also just had the district science and engineering fair, and all of our students that participated are now advancing to the regional science fair, but we did get 1st and 3rd place in animal sciences. The students did poster presentations, and they're able to speak to their research and their research goals and how that worked. So we're excited that they're all advancing. We'll see where we go from there. So that was a lot of middle grades. In elementary, all of our students have already started their 3rd quarter problem-based learning units. And so kindergarten is doing stars in the sky and celestial navigation. 1st grade is doing transportation and logistics. 2nd grade is looking at art in the sky. So they're making tie-ins for what they're learning with astronomy as well as with applied art. 3rd grade is looking at coastal erosion. 4th grade, weather and safe shelter. And then 5th grade is looking at reducing harmful bacteria in local water. So there's a lot happening here, as always, but I wanted to give you a little insight into what's happening right now. We have a lot of successes to celebrate. So we sent all of our students, 24 students, to Atlanta for the Future Cities competition. And we received a donation from someone to start a scholarship fund that ended up paying for half of the funds for that trip. So we were very fortunate that we were able to pay for half of the trip. And then for families that had any additional need, they were able to apply for a scholarship. None of the trips were 100% funded, but families were really responsive to, I believe we had 6 families that said, this would be a big help for us to have this. And so we were able to do that with that limited donation. I'm very proud of this. For the first time since TIMA has been open, 100% of our families have recommitted to saying they're coming back next year. So we're getting ready for lottery season. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Basketball season's in full swing. We have a few games left. I'll talk to you about ways to plug in with that. Soccer practice has started as well, and so has baseball practice. So spring sports are coming. We're finishing up winter sports. Our Maritime Fund, I think you know, this is our opportunity to ask for fundraising and look at a direct ask, which we've never done before. We're already at 70% of our goal for the entire year, and we're halfway through the year. So we think that we're trending really well. We did receive a growth strategy grant. I'm going to talk to you about how we intend on using that grant money. And then our teacher incentive plan, we had our first disbursement in the way that is aligned to what we told the board we were going to do to recognize the hard work of our colleagues. So the Maritime Fund update, remember our goal is 100% board participation, 100% family participation. Even just a little bit is representative of people investing in our school. We're at 105,000 of 150. So I think that's an incredible representation of the support that we're receiving. I know that some board members have said that their next steps are to look at soliciting corporate sponsors and donors for the rest of the funds for this year. Fundraising initiatives that are still happening here that are being driven by our fundraising committee. We have an improv night scheduled at Front Porch Improv for February 4th. I don't know if they're completely sold out or not. I know that tickets were going pretty quickly. All the ticket sales come directly back to the school. Fishing tournament on April the 15th. That date is tentative, but we're looking at a one-day, all-encompassing, amazing event with awards, silent auction, live music, all the good stuff. So that's still being worked on. And then a bingo night happening fourth quarter here at TIMA, which there's almost as much excitement about that as there's the fishing tournament. This is the teacher incentive plan. So in quarter two, we did our first disbursement, looking at how our teachers are engaging in their work. They had to work together to review their problem-based learning units, the things that we work on with our students throughout the year. There was a team meeting and a reflection for that, as well as they had to complete some lessons in their Apple badge portfolio. Being an Apple Distinguished School means that we have access to some pretty incredible resources, but making sure that our colleagues have the access to that and are engaged with that helps us to drive what we want to do as a mission here at school. So that happened, and we already were able to give that out right before the holiday break. We'll have another disbursement March 1, and then a final for May 15. This is the first time we've done this, so we're getting a lot of feedback from colleagues about how this incentive is structured and how it's working for them. It does give us opportunity to leverage some conversations about making this the dream job for a teacher. I think all of us know that teachers work hard, but we're also really committed to making sure that we're a phenomenal workplace so that we can continue to retain talent. We still have one of the lowest attrition rates of any school in our community at less than 7%. But we always want to try to think ahead and think about how do we make sure that we're providing what we need to so that the kids get everything they need and more. We are looking at a couple of things for policy that I will definitely be bringing back to the board. But for right now, we're working on updating our job descriptions and contract language. I'm sending out employee intent this week to just have people be mindful of their commitment or recommitment to TIMA as a colleague so that we can begin driving that process before contracts are due on April 30. Frequency of grade submission into the student information system. We talk a lot about what our expectations are, but we feel like we need to put something in policy. We met with our colleagues last week in team meetings, and we're going to craft some language that says a minimum expectation is this amount of grades per week in the SIS, and have everyone sign that, and we'll update that in the employee handbook. And we're creating a policy review committee with our colleagues so that when these policy initiatives come up, that we make sure that we're getting teacher voice into how this recommendation should be rounded out. As of today, we officially have a long-term sub committed to our film position who is a certified teacher. We have been working through an unexpected resignation from a colleague that happened right after the Christmas holiday. And so it has been nice to be able to secure a long-term sub for the remainder of the year, and that person committed today. Athletics, I've already shared with you sort of where we are with that. I'm grateful to the board to continue to look at potential options for facilities for us. It is something that's top of mind for all of our families and colleagues, and our growth strategy. So we have something related to our budget. So phase one of our growth initiative, if you recall, we were awarded the opportunity to participate. That has meant us partnering with Bellwether, as well as some other groups out of Atlanta that have been very interested in looking at how charter schools, especially successful charter schools, can grow in the state of Georgia. So we worked with them and came away with some nice deliverables about how we can look at green lighting potential expansion and what that might look like. And then we were told when we were in the meeting with them at the end of our participation that we were not only eligible, but would be receiving a $50,000 grant to continue the work. And so that was awarded to us with a focus on strengthening our talent recruitment and retention practices and systems, similar to what I talked to you about a little earlier. We want this to be an enviable place for all educators to work. So while TIMA will not replicate in the near term, we are preparing for future expansion. So what that looks like for us is hosting schools and community leaders to observe our school, use those opportunities to gauge interest in our model for their communities, establish advocacy partnerships with at least 10 educational institutions. That doesn't necessarily have to be post-secondary. We also have had good partnerships with some local elementary and middle schools and K-8 schools. TIMA leaders will proactively visit other communities that may be interested in our model to meet with parents and community leaders and understand their needs and discuss whether our model could be a good fit for their community, and track a comprehensive set of green light criteria to better understand when we are ready to open another campus. So right now, that $50,000 is going to go to a few big items: knowledge and process, looking at $15,000 for a learning management system and a micro-credentialing platform. One of the things that people come to us often and ask is, how do you provide instruction for special education students with a problem-based model? How do you incorporate character education within what kids are learning as they're solving problems? And building micro-credentialing allows for a way for us to demonstrate how that works, but it also helps us with our current colleagues to be able to demonstrate their excellence and proficiency in particular ways that they serve kids. Organizational design and consulting services, that specifically has to do with the work that we have been doing with Bellwether, where we have had a good partnership with them and they would continue providing some of that service. And then public relations, obviously marketing materials, and looking at a webmaster to kind of round out what our public facing page looks like. Academic updates. So the first thing I want to say is we just got our truancy report, which I know has caused some conversation in the community about our persistent discussions with families post-COVID and the importance of school attendance. But I would say this: we're the lowest in the district for both elementary and middle schools at 0.2%. Elementary average is 6.2, middle school is 14.2. Charters are averaging 3, but we're 0.2%. We are pretty dogged about this. And I understand that everyone has something come up. And I don't know if our new calendar is an impact on this, but I would say that with families that have some freedom and flexibility to spend time that we schedule off, that perhaps that is part of the reason that we also have a very low truancy issues.
What's the
It's
time
also the
period?
food. The hot lunch is coming back.
What is the time? It says school year 22-23, but obviously that's just first semester.
That is first semester.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank
Because
you.
you're also very far away from many families.
It is very far away from many families. We provide transportation. We run an alternate schedule. And we follow up whenever we have students that have missed more than a couple of days. And I don't know if all of those things lead to that result or one of those things, but I think it is worth us continuing that practice and looking at how we're doing. So our academic goals, what we've looked at with strategic planning and looking at how we can continue to be ready for and mindful what we need to do when submitting our new charter renewal application. We're looking at content, growth, and literacy. So TIMA will earn a content mastery score of 90 from the Georgia Department of Education. That links directly to how our students performing in reading and math. And in 5th and 8th grade, it's also science and social studies, right? So looking at content mastery and how students are doing and being prepared for that, that's a big part of being ready for that renewal application. Looking at growth, so 75% of our students will meet their growth targets in math and reading as measured by the MAP assessment. In other words, looking at how students are progressing each year. And then literacy, by 2025, 90% of our students will be reading and writing on grade level by the end of second grade. Now that's an internal measure that we created because we got a lot of feedback, and I think I've shared with the board in the past. The reason we created an early literacy program is because students that were going into third, fourth, fifth, and higher grades were struggling with being able to read and write to the level needed to solve problems. So it was hard for them to be engaged in the problem-solving aspect when they were still struggling with reading and writing. So we made that internal goal. So right now, what you will want to see is, this is third grade, 21, 22, 23. Same thing for 4, 5, 6, 7, and we don't have anything since our first year with 8th grade. But what you're seeing is the way that this should be trending is you want to have more green, obviously, as the years progress. You want to see students that are performing better in math and math assessment each year. So we're at projected right now, based on the math assessment, doing much better in math than we've done in the past. And the same for language arts. One of the things that we're really mindful of, I mean, obviously third grade is doing well, fourth grade as well. We're not really sure what's going on with fifth. We're having a lot of discussion about that. Sixth is moving in the direction you want, 7 and 8.
You also can track like school year 21 in third grade becomes school year 22 in fourth grade. And so you can track, so you can look at like your COVID classes and see like how they're doing.
Correct. And that is, you don't know what the next slide is. Let's see.
No, it's just in a spreadsheet, but it's not in the slide.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
okay.
Like we did cohort groups tracking as
Yes.
well, and are looking at that to piece it apart.
Can you go to the next one?
This is.
Oh, yeah, okay. So this is growth, right? And this is kind of what you're talking about too. And obviously this is our, we're gonna label this is our 2028 goal. But looking at students making the growth that they need to, we're obviously not all the way above 75 across the board. So obviously that means that we need to be working on something. So do you wanna, I think this is the next one that I was thinking about. This is kind of what you're talking about. So this is second grade. So remember our goal, 90% of students will be reading and writing on or above grade level. The MAP readiness for this year indicates 47% of second graders are above the reading student achievement norm. So 47% of our kids are trending how we want them to be above that norm. But remember, these are our students who didn't have pre-K, who didn't have kindergarten, who did not have some of the early literacy. And I know there are folks, there's the rare folk out there that will say, well, it didn't impact my kid. It impacted a lot of other kids and a lot of other people's kids. And so we're really trying to monitor that cohort and see how we're providing service for them and make sure that they're growing in the way that we need them to. We're very concerned about those second graders. We're concerned about all of them, but especially getting the reading and writing that they need as they progress through. So that leads us to, how can we support those kids who are not quite where we need them to be in grades 2 through 8? And so one of the things that we talked about when we adopted a sort of radical calendar was looking at those opportunities to provide remediation when we had that 2-week intercession. So there is going to be a spring intercession for our students. This is budget neutral. It's already in the budget for supplemental instruction, but it's targeted remediation. It's invitation only. It's about 20 students per grade level that are going to be invited to come and get additional support in reading or language arts and mathematics for 4 days that week. We've also spoken with Kelly Tours. We can get one hub stop for families that need to take advantage of that and still run a bus for at least half of the kids that would be out here. Details are going to be sent to our families by the end of January. It's REP and the EIP staff, so the remediation staff, as well as homeroom teachers that have already signed up and said, we want to help our kids make growth. So it's going to be very intensive targeted instruction for 4 days during that first spring break, intercession.
Teachers get paid extra?
They do.
What's the budget for that?
It's part of the supplemental instruction budget. Ways to plug in. We are having another parent plug in at 8:30 in the morning on the 2nd, where we're talking about technology, everybody's favorite thing to love and hate. We are going to have a Front Porch Improv fundraiser on February 4th, and then a strategic planning meeting on February the 7th. Remember, there's basketball games that are happening soon. I think that's it. Yes, questions? A lot going on here every day, but we love it.
Good job.
Thanks.
Have some numbers.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. With that, I'll turn it over to Joe for the November and December 22 financials.
I do not have a slide, but I can click on something if you need me to. That's in that.
Yeah, if you could.
Which one?
Maybe the December, you want to do the December?
It should be on her, there you go.
This is the list. I just
all
wasn't
the way
sure
at the
which one you
bottom.
wanted.
The December where it says, it's the summary. Actually, it's not the bottom. 06 December 22 month and year to date
This one?
summary.
That I highlighted?
The packets were handed out. The only thing I'm going to say about November is they slow paid us last year, and our percentages are always based on how we spent money last year. So November is kind of awkward because they made a huge makeup in December on our payroll last year. So our December numbers are fairly accurate. I would point out that our securities are holding pretty steady. And we are having an issue with our sweep account. We can't figure out how Truist is operating our sweep account. So we've asked them several times. We've had a pending sweep for 4 months now. And it's still sitting there the same amount. It just will not go into our account. But we're in the process of remedying that with Bank of America. So I would like to point you to December. Now we're going to play with some numbers here. You see up top where it says Chatham County, we are $255,000 under budget. That means we're ahead in payroll. Basically, we're spending less than we budgeted. Now, 35,000 of that is custodial because we pay custodial directly. But it is budgeted in the payroll. So $35,000 is there. And then Chatham County has not hit us this year yet for any workers' comp. So we're behind, at some point we're going to get hit with the whole bill, I would assume. And right now, for the first 6 months, that should be $8,700 is workers' comp. So I'm saying we're about at least $200,000 ahead in payroll. And that's year to date?
That's year to date, yes, sir.
Then you'll see that we are behind budget, $45,000 in transportation. Again, transportation is budgeted per the contract. So by the end of the year, that should be zero. It's just, again, it's a matter of percentages based on how we spent transportation last year. So you take the $35,000 and the 45, and we're right, almost right on budget. We did spend about $6,160 where we were behind on our rent, and she paid it like 5 of them all at once. Jennifer did. So that's technically a fiscal year in 2022 expense that's showing up in 2023. So if you account for that, we're pretty close to right on budget. That was And then most of that, where we're ahead and we're above budget and instruction is iPads. So. That's all I got. Any questions?
Any questions? For Joe? Okay, we're going to move into motions, but I'm just going to dial in Jason Ball and Lee Terry.
Do you want me to get Lee on? Or you got both of them? And both of
Let's
them.
see if I can get them both here.
She's got skills if she can. I can never make that work.
Maybe. Hey, we're like moving into motions. Okay, let me get these one. I actually do not have them in here.
You want me to give it to you, or do you want me to?
Yes, go ahead. Julie.
912-604-1825.
Thank you. Haley, this is for Julie. You're good to go for the motions part? Thank you. I'm gonna connect you with Jason and then put you on speaker. Hold on. Jason? Jason?
Yes, all right.
That's okay. Lee? Lee, I got you as well?
Okay.
Okay. For the motions part, I sent out the minutes from November 28th of last year. Does anybody have any changes or alterations or issues? Can I have a motion to adopt them?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Joe just presented the financials, and we discussed, or we didn't, he discussed most of them. Can I have someone move forward to adopt the financials?
I'll make a motion to approve the November and December 22 financials.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is we received the final charter amendment for our charter for the 2 years. As we talked about, it seems like 2 years ago now already. It's a very simple, straightforward one-pager I shared with you, basically extending our charter until the end of the 2025 school year, so June 30th. I would like to go ahead and get this into the district and to the state, so I'm looking for a motion to approve moving this forward and returning this.
So moved?
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Next part on the motion agenda is the school calendar that we discussed at the November board meeting. You had all asked Peter and to go back to gain parents' feedback. We solicited parent feedback. We got 2 comments back that I shared with everybody. One person completely liking it, a second person would like to see a little bit more summertime. I want to make clear that this is not a year-round schedule for school. This is a very similar schedule as it was last year. Students return to school on Wednesday, the 26th of July, and their last day of school, Peter, May 29th. I wanted to see if the board at this point had any further questions to Peter about the calendar. And if not, I would like to ask for a motion to adopt the calendar for the 23-24 school year.
So moved?
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I circulated the next item to you via email, and that was the acceptance of resignation for personal reasons of Ashby Gilplain, our film and teacher. So I just wanted to verify it at this meeting since it was done on email. So if I can have a motion and vote to move this forward and accept what we already had agreed upon.
So moved.
Motion of ratification.
That's right. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next part is also something that you all have already approved and we're ratifying it, and that is extending the teachers' incentive plan over to our leadership team. And I want to thank everyone for that, for doing that. They work just as hard as all of our teachers do, so I appreciate everyone agreeing to that. So can I have someone as a first to ratify?
So moved?
Motion of ratification.
All in favor? Thank you. The last part of the motions is I would like to move forward that we approve for TIMA to move forward with negotiations with regard to upgrading TIMA's facilities. And I'm looking for a motion to make that motion forward. One, thank you. Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Jason and Lee, thank you so much. I will not keep you on the phone longer. The remaining of the items, I believe you have received in your board package, so I appreciate you being able to dial in to this part. Have a great evening. Bye. Lottery, Peter started on the 6th of January?
Yes.
Opened up on the 6th of January, and you got right there.
So as I already shared, we have 100% recommitment for the first time in the history of our school. Right now, as of today, we have 160 applications. However, with 100% commitment, with the exception of a little bit of opening in kindergarten and when we have gaps in first and second grade, we're looking at only 55 seats available for 160 applications. And we still have 2 more weeks, and we have tours pretty much 3 or 4 times a week. So
More tours this year, right?
we are. We're hosting a lot of tours.
More families visiting in person this year.
Yes.
You know, what happens when kids are held back, or are kids held back, and how's that?
So it does happen. Students do get retained. And if that happens, there's still an allowance. Remember, as long as we're not over 450 in our overall total enrollment, all we do is just maintain that seat, but we don't tell a family that we already offered in the lottery, oh, we retained someone, so you can't come. We make our announcements, the lottery ends on February 10, and we go ahead and award seats based on the seats that we have. I will say, this means that right before the holiday break, and as soon as we came back from the holiday break, we're having critical decision conferences with families to talk about any potential for retention. We do want to make sure that we're mindful of that going into the lottery. If we know for certain, although it's so hard to know for certain in January, whether or not someone is trending to be retained, but there is an allowance for that because our enrollment, even if all of our seats are full, is less than 450, but the charter stipulates as long as we're not over 450, we're still in compliance.
So you might have 1 year, a 3rd grade class that has 2 or 3 more kids.
It has 26 instead of 25, correct. That does happen, actually.
When does the lottery close?
February 10th.
Wow. What was it last year? How many applicants versus seats? Do you remember?
So by the end of, I don't remember how many open seats we had. It was not much more than 55. But I know that we had a little over 200 applications by the time we ran the lottery. This is trending about the same. And we'll still have a surplus of folks on the wait list by the time the lottery runs. I mean, there's definitely some grade levels that will run the lottery to seat them in the order, but there's no seat available.
But things come up, people move. I mean, every year you see movement on.
Absolutely. I mean, we still have families that are pending military orders, that could have other things that happen, and life intercedes for all of us, and so there's no telling what might impact that. But it is certainly very nice to know and humbling to know that we have 3 times the amount of people applying for seats that we actually have.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. How many of the open seats do you think are siblings? Is there any way to gauge that?
Yeah, so it's there.
Oh, there it is.
So we have 26 siblings that have applied. That's not only in kindergarten. I mean, that's in all of the grade levels. But because I think you guys know, I mean, we sometimes have students that we actually had this a couple of years ago. A twin was in for an entire year before we could seat the other twin. That's very rare, but because of the way that it happened, they the twins applied after the lottery. So one person came in September and the other twin didn't get in until the next year. So oddities like that might happen, but we have so far 26 siblings.
What
does ED stand for?
Economically disadvantaged.
Okay. And so, but there's also another area in which students get preference, right, if they're from Tybee.
So that's primary residence. So that's
you.
12 families that live, that they'll be able to verify that live on the island, that are going to be sending children here. Some of them might also be in that sibling number, but it also could be entirely new families to Tybee.
So those people on that list are not in. The 26 are not in, the 26 ED are not in, and the primary 12 are not in.
No.
What about teacher kids?
That's not listed on there.
Do you have it? Because doesn't Georgia law require you to put teacher kids in?
But I mean, so far, I have one colleague I know that has a child in pre-K that's not eligible for next year. I don't know.
Why aren't they eligible?
They won't be old enough.
Oh, okay. So
They're 3, they'll be 4 next year.
I thought Jennifer just mentioned to me those numbers were a little lower than they were last year. We had a usually high number, I believe.
I keep hiring people that have children, and they bring them with them. So yeah.
So truly, teachers will go work for schools so their kids can go there.
Yeah.
So it's possible that people in those top 3 categories may not actually get a seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's possible with the lottery.
That's I feel like it's 52, 63, and there's 55 spots, so 8 of aren't gonna get it.
Right. Unless, as I said, there's some duplication there where we could have an economically disadvantaged student who's also a sibling, and maybe they would be getting in. And back to your question, sort of similar earlier, is we run the lottery in February. It's entirely possible and has happened where I hire someone in May who comes the next year, and I'm not bumping somebody out who already was awarded a seat in the lottery. So then we end up with a 4th grade class that has 25 or 26 instead of the normal. All good questions.
This one might be stupid. Is that why we always have a buffer between our maximum and what we usually run?
It's not, and that's not a stupid question at all. We actually try to just maintain a lower class size. So our maximum at 450 was, I think, what would be required based on the square footage that we had. But when you have 18 students in a kindergarten class times 2 versus what most schools have, which is 22 to 25, I mean, we try to keep a lower class size. So, I mean, it's really the gap between our class size expectations and what's allowable.
I'm just saying.
What's the current student enrollment?
As of today, I believe it's 422.
And so do these get preference like in the order that they're listed, or how does that work?
No, actually. So primary residence, I believe,
Okay.
would be first.
Okay.
Economically disadvantaged doesn't get, they're weighted 4 times
They
more.
get multiple entries, right?
So it's not that they're part of the attendance zone. And really, Tybee doesn't have an attendance zone, but what we try to look at is those folks that are primary resident get preference. If you recall, the whole mission of TIMA being created was because Tybee didn't have a school, right? So we try to give preference to those families that live on the island so that we can attract more families to the island. But the economically disadvantaged families, they just have 4 times more chance in the lottery than maybe someone who's not economically disadvantaged.
Right, okay.
I actually believe it would probably be primary and then sibling. And teachers' kids would maybe even be before sibling. Because there is Georgia law that says a teacher is allowed to have their child with them where they teach.
And then, like you said, there could be overlap between these categories too, so.
Absolutely. I'll do better with the breakdown this time, sorry.
No, I was curious.
I bet you some.
These
of
are
those
rough
primary-
numbers.
Sure.
Some of those primary are siblings.
Probably so. I'm almost positive I know one. So is indeed a sibling and a primary resident.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Strategic planning update, Laura.
Yes.
I can
So,
drive if you
All
need me
right.
to.
We are well underway on our strategic planning process. We have a really good core group of about 12 people who have been attending all the meetings. About 5 of those are faculty and or parents, and the rest are just community members that are interested in kind of the future of schooling. So we finished the January 10th meeting with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats analysis. I've given you all an email with an opportunity to look at that mind map if you have anything you want to contribute. And I'll be working on distilling that into kind of what we see are the essential elements in response to those quadrants before the next meeting. And then at our February 7th meeting, we'll be looking at some other strategic plans of all different variety of schools, both districts and charter schools. And then including some other maritime schools in the country and looking at kind of what are some strategic inputs in our region, like the new Hyundai plant, the maritime pipeline and corridors expansion, and how we might be able to be responsive to that. And then the final will be March 7th. So we can finish drafting the strategic framework there. So we'll have a product for you guys to approve at your retreat as the board. So I think I actually just said all of that. So the key elements of framework, defining those key goal areas and creating and refining the goal statements are our next meeting. We have revised our mission and vision, and I have those to be approved. So our vision, this is kind of a description of the future we're working towards, right? And I put the guideposts that we use to develop this as a committee. It should energize the organization, provide a clear vision of what success looks like, seem unattainable, and be very long-term. So we came up with a better future for all.
Any discussion or questions?
Seem unattainable.
What were some other kind of words y'all were throwing around for that? Yeah, we have.
How much wordsmithing went into this?
Yeah, it's been like. Yeah, we've had it. So the process was by committee, we threw out a bunch of words. Then in that meeting, they got into pairs and consolidated them down into phrases. Then we took the phrases as a leadership team and worked with it iteratively about 3 different times. And then we've also put it to faculty and staff for their input. And then we brought it back to the committee meeting and circulated this draft. Specifically with this, there was some input, perhaps brighter or bigger, but we ultimately landed on liking better. And at some points, it was about 4 phrases that included different elements: empowerment, inspiration, innovation. Those are some of the big keywords but it all distilled down to improving futures.
And I think we all felt that although there's maybe a simplicity to this, there's also something that everybody can easily understand and get behind. Like, who doesn't want it better? for everybody. And that becomes something that's a pretty easy talking point for us.
And then you'll see, when we get into the mission here, it goes a little bit deeper into those layers. So the lens kind of that we used to filter this was looking at these key groups. So we have this larger community, and then we really want to think about what is better for a school, what is better for students, what is better for educators. So we came up with these kind of phrases for each community and then tried to tie them into one overarching mission statement, which is a culture of learning and innovation where people achieve maximum potential in maritime communities.
And we are truly grateful for everyone. We've had fantastic stakeholders in this entire process. They're still committed to helping us finish out everything related to strategic planning, but we've had members of the TIMA community, we've had city council members, we've had parents and other stakeholders, colleagues on staff,
maritime industry
that
members
have really given some great feedback to us about what a school that serves this community should really look like and value. And it's been a very encouraging process for us to have these conversations and really get feedback from them throughout about how we can communicate what our mission is in a way that makes sense. So it's been great.
And it's created a lot of good touch points. We've already had a few come and help out in different classes using their expertise, which has been really a good outcome of it. I think that is.
That's it. Yeah. All right, Julie.
Any
comments or questions?
Do we need to vote on the mission and vision?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the governing board process is for this, so I defer to.
I'm sure.
Okay. I do think it needs to be voted on.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to tie it all in with the retreat or if it's,
Let's just get it over with.
I'm gonna go ahead and circulate it by email, and then we'll ratify it at the next meeting, so you can keep going.
Okay.
In the direction.
Perfect.
that we've established, so.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, Friends of TIMA is officially incorporated and we have a tax ID number. The next step will be to file the IRS form, the 1023 form. We need to have a board put together by then and bylaws. I think I've sent you draft bylaws, but they're just kind of standard. So we need to put a board together. And because this is kind of a sub-organization of the school, I mean, it's separate, but we can have the principal is always a board member of the nonprofit, or the board treasurer is always, you can have some overlap and you can even designate that in the bylaws. So I think that may be something we want to consider. One thing we'll need to be careful about, and I think I raised this before, that if you, over the 5-year period, if most of your donations come from one place, you risk being a private foundation as opposed to a public charity. And even though the 3 million initially came from a variety of sources on the accounting books, and it's going to look like it came from one. And so you have 5 years to diversify your giving, which we will be able to. But even the giving that has been contributed to the school, when it transfers over, unless there's some accounting way to show that the money originated with individual donors, came to TIMA, and then moved to Friends of TIMA. So I think you have 5 years to do it. And so you're going to want to dump as much in there as you can to create that diversified revenue.
And Julie is waiting on me to get these bylaws turned around.
Well, and we can, but it's mostly I have to identify board members in the application, at least 3. We need a president, secretary, treasurer. And then there are related things. So you couldn't have, related includes business. So you couldn't have half the board be school because they would be considered related. So, we'll monitor that and we'll make sure it doesn't happen. But, and then the turnaround recently, I just filed one a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see post-Christmas, but it's been about 6 weeks. So once we get that in, it should move pretty quickly. And you can accept donations pending the application. So if we want to, once we push submit, you can move that money over into the bank account. We would just need, and again, because that's coming from another non-taxable entity, it's different, but you could also put individual donations in.
And I can certainly get with Kay and or her, see who donated the money, and we can make the vote show Even though
Yeah.
it's technically all in a fund right now.
Yeah, and it all came in before the organization was even created. So I think you're gonna have trouble showing that like a donation that came in 5 years ago
Yeah.
is now part of the diversified revenue. There's two different tests. You have 5 years to do it. So it's, like you and I can touch base if you want. But just know that the minute it starts, any grant money, anything should go in there because they're just looking at your diversified revenue.
Well, it's the goal that the fishing tournament proceeds can
Okay.
go straight in
Okay.
there.
It's all about the fishing.
It is, yes.
I've never been to a fishing
Me
tournament.
neither.
I never knew there was such a thing. But it is.
This is when my
Yeah.
daughter talks about going to the country school on the beach.
Yeah, we go to fishing.
So in the future, will we write our checks to friends of team? Fonts.
So it's an acronym and an acronym. I like it.
Must be a word.
I think there is.
Even if frankly, you turn it right back around and put it to the school.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate everybody being here and making the effort. I have listed the February, March, April, May, June board meetings on here. I really would love for everybody to be here as much as possible. I will reach out to the remainder of the board as well. Just a reminder about the budget readings in June. Board retreat, I will resurface to see if I can get higher numbers on a different date. And then we do have an opportunity to do a whole board training for the 3 hours on February 25th. Everything with training with GCSA is moving very slowly right now. I just sent an email again for those of you that have been on Canva. You cannot do the financial training yet. It is not up yet.
Has anyone really been on Canva to start yet? No, it's not until you send 8 million emails and say, I'm coming to your house.
I can send you 8 million emails.
I'm waiting to do the joint.
Well, the issue is right now, and that's what I brought to their attention, is we are now in end of January, we're 7 months into the 12 months that we have the time to do this, and only elective modules are up. We don't have modules that matter, that are mandatory, and we pay a lot of money to have this done, and I probably am going to come to the table with looking at if there are any other different solutions. I don't even know if they exist, but the last 2 years has been a struggle for me to be able to get people the time to do it. So I think I am going to call someone else over there to get that done. But if you have time and you want to listen to Canva, you can listen to it while you walk, while you vacuum. Download the slides and just put in a sentence and submit, please. For those new board members, they have 1 year from the date of joining the board. So you actually have a little bit.
How many hours is it?
9 for returning to 12.
I think it's 9 for
12 for new, 9 for returning. And if you would like to be the board chair, you can use an extra.
Hey, Brigitte, are like the Georgia Charter conferences back in person?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, that might be interesting for those who want to get more, maybe like we could agree, we're like, you pay your own way, but we'll pay the enrollment fee, because those, I mean, I used to go to those every year for Georgia School Board Association, full of.
You get it all done.
You get it, you network, you drink the Kool-Aid.
It's coming up.
Yeah, we may want to just make that available. Yeah.
I will tell you, highly encourage you to take a screenshot when you get submitted, pictures that you have submitted, because for the last 3 years, I have had to battle for my hours that I had no record of. And I have never had any luck with their live webinars being counted towards my hours, so I will never do a live webinar ever again with them. So don't waste your time.
It's in Atlanta, March 13th through 15th.
It's like right around.
I mean, it might be worth, if anyone wants to go, I think that's a great way, particularly for some of the newer people.
It's a full board training session on the 25th. I'm kind of hoping that we'll move forward here. Also good to know that Kevin Wall, Oglethorpe, has been able to do their full board training in July of 2022 for 2023, which I was kind of envious about. But it is the 3 hours. It is, we did it a few years ago where we got together with the other charter schools and did it all together. And it was interesting to see that we have similar but very different issues in each one of them. And what they struggle with, and it's easy for us, and what we may struggle with, may be easy for them. So it was actually more entertaining than any of the whole board training that I've done so
That's
far.
great.
So if you can make it, once I have details, I will share them out. And if you can make it, that would be great. And then federal facilities grant, we got 50,000 or 85.
84,000.
84,000 that Peter, you had divvied up to go towards rental transportation, I believe.
That's
right?
correct.
So, that offsets some of that expense for us, which is fantastic every year.
Thank you.
And it's gone up.
Is that a reoccurring grant or is that?
It has been. It's because we're a charter school, we get automatically enrolled in the potential of accepting or receiving the grant. It has gone up. I believe, Brigitte, it was 50,000 a few years ago, and then it went up, I believe 65, we're out to 80, 84. But there's a recognition that to run a charter school, you have facilities concerns that other schools don't have. Even though you're a public school, you still need to keep the lights on. You still need to provide service. And that's also where the mind comes from for the securities grant, where we also get some money to offset expenses for alarm systems and monitoring and things like that. So it is not 100% of what we spend out to run a business, especially a school business, but it is certainly nice to offset some of the things that we would and had set aside in the general operating budget and offset that. So it's nice.
Thank you. And Jennifer, by the way, does a great job in getting that pulled together with Joe and submitted to where it needs to be, the 15 signatures that need to have on the paper. So she does a great job with that. We had no sign up for public comment today, and then I'd like to open it up to anyone on board that has anything to.
So Brigitte is tasked me with trying to track down everyone's board terms and everything, and so I'm working on that. We really should be coming in on our start of the fiscal year, but people were kind of joining. So I will probably be in touch with each of you to figure out kind of exactly when you joined, because like 2021 could mean in March, which you would just be starting your term in really July, or it could be September. So really what it may involve is you like just Googling on your Gmail, like TIMA board and see, but I will be in touch with those of you that I don't know to see. Some of you are real long timers, which we appreciate, but trying to get our hands around that. We have our terms are 2 years, and they're, you can have as many terms as you want. So that's what we'll base it on.
And we do have, there will be some board openings coming for this coming school year. So if there's anybody that you can think of that would be a great board member for TIMA, please do tell Julie. I would love to get that into place as we get towards the end of the school year. And then anybody that you've ever come across that would like to be a vice president role and to move at some point into the president's role, we'll take that as well. So with that,
It's not the chair for my position. I did have something I wanted to say. I wanted to, as chairperson of the fundraising committee, I'd like to thank all of our board members. We had 100% participation in donations this year, which was excellent. I did not get the percentage figure for parents. You don't have that off the top.
No, we worked on calculating it in late November, and I have two numbers. I don't recall off the top of my head. One
Yeah,
was a
I just think it's
percent, yeah.
important, you know, because we
We're
started off
definitely
brand new,
below 50%,
post-COVID,
yeah.
all that, and just have a baseline
Mhm.
for, and then sort of where do we want to go?
Mhm.
Thank you. Thanks for the work on that. I mean, that's been coming right out of the gate, it's been great numbers, so thank you for that. That would be, we should have to do. Anyone else? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, team.
I was just thinking of some like 99% that I'm correct, that I started in January of 21. Yeah, because I think what we did is we were 3 billion for COVID, but I think then